Hi, I study the far right, and I've been thinking a lot about the ethics of researching the far right because it is not the same as other types of research, and I just want to delve into that for a bit. Normal ethical research practices and procedures are geared towards protecting the participants from the power dynamic of researcher and researched, right? And empathizing and humanizing and uplifting their voices. But when you're researching the far right, you're not researching a marginalized group. You're researching a dominant group that is actively causing or seeking to cause harm to actual marginalized groups, right? So when we submit our projects to the ethical review board, we have to talk about how we're going to protect the participants. But in this case, who should we be protecting? Who should we be empathizing and humanizing with, you know? I've had a lot of concern from other researchers in my department who are used to studying marginalized populations like kids in the foster system or poor rural Appalachians, right? Who are concerned because they know that I come to this from a very strong anti-fascist activist lens of wanting to do something to help, and they don't want me to approach folks and dehumanize them or like misattribute things or just like be blinded by my own bias, right? Which is totally fair and understandable and admirable, and I understand where they're coming from. But studying the far right is not the same as studying kids in the foster system. There's also no consideration for the researchers who come from marginalized backgrounds doing this research, hi, hello, who are on the sharp end of far right extremism, right? That's a different ballgame. That's a different power differential. And there's nothing institutionally set up to address protecting researchers usually. Lastly, I think the hardest part is when you're doing ethnographies or talking about de-radicalization programs or talking about, using the words and the opinions and the interviews with these folks, because are you platforming them? Are you promoting their messages? Are you perpetrating harm by doing so? Because you don't want to dehumanize them because you have to understand them in order to fix, in order to make movement forward, in order to understand how to stop this hostile takeover of fascism that we're currently witnessing, right? But at the same time, it's like, how do you balance understanding without excusing? And I have accepted that I will always be misunderstood by somebody as working to excuse what is my job to understand. And I will always try to balance the two. So it's like, how do you talk about this in a way that centers marginalized groups while also understanding and recognizing why people get here? I don't know, and I'm probably doing it wrong in some kind of way, but I'm trying. So, anyway.